Every other fragrance release right now seems like an elixir. What is an elixir? Is it better? And why are we seeing more and more of them? What's the deal with elixirs? And which is the best one? Let's find out. Sauvage Elixir certainly wasn't the first to use the term in connection with fragrance. Many have come before it, but Dior are the brand that seem to have started this current trend of using the term elixir to denote another iteration of an already existing fragrance. Since then, we've had 1 Million Elixir, Invictus Victory Elixir, Lamal Elixir, and Mugler's Angel Elixir, and you can bet there are more to come. The term elixir has been around since the 13th century. According to the online etymology dictionary, it is a medieval Latin word which means a liquid believed by alchemists to transform metals into gold and or to cure diseases and prolong life. The word is also believed to derive from the Arabic elixir, which means a powder for drying wounds. Later, in medical use, elixir referred to a tincture with more than one base, or a strong tonic used as an alternative medicine for healing certain ailments. Often, elixir can be used to describe a potion or tonic that has magical healing properties. It seems the use of the term elixir has become somewhat fast and loose in modern language, especially over the last few years by linking it with fragrances. Probably to play into this magical potion connection in the hope that any fragrance bearing the name elixir might have some sort of magical, mysterious, aphrodisiac effect, stimulating sexual desire in anyone who smells it. That might sound far-fetched, but some people will argue that their fragrance has indeed had some kind of magical aphrodisiac effect. Some notes in perfumery are even described as having an aphrodisiac effect, like vanilla, saffron, jasmine, patchouli and sandalwood. Let's bring all this back around to these 4 recent Elixir branded fragrances: Sauvage Elixir, 1 Million Elixir, Invictus Victory Elixir and Lamal Elixir. What makes them elixirs? Well, nothing, other than the connotations of the word elixir with its potential magical properties. So, marketing basically. We've had intense, extreme, parfum, which at first probably worked in enticing customers to buy a more intense, extreme version of a fragrance they love so much. Over time, the effect of these marketing buzzwords has worn off as people have figured out that when extreme is slapped on a bottle, it doesn't necessarily mean that the juice inside that bottle is anything like extreme. Often, extreme, intense parfum versions can be the exact opposite of that. They can be softer and less extreme than the non-extreme versions. So now that we've started to become disillusioned with these marketing descriptives, brands needed a new buzzword. Elixir was born. Some well-paid marketing bod landed on it a few years back and it's working again. We're falling for the BS. Sooner or later, as more and more elixir fragrances are released, we'll once again become desensitized to this marketing descriptive, and another marketing bod will be paid a lot of money to come up with the next enticing made-up category. Elixirs are not stronger, they are not necessarily a higher concentration, they're still EDPs or possibly parfums, they are not magical, their potential aphrodisiac effects are no more likely to be present than they are in EDTs, EDPs, parfums, intenses or extremes. Not to say elixirs are bad, in fact, the ones released recently are actually pretty good, but not because they're called elixirs. Right, if you want to buy an elixir, which one should you buy? Let's dive into the options. Going in order of release, let's start with the daddy of elixir flankers, Dior Sauvage Elixir. This is definitely the most potent, intense version of Sauvage, so in that regard, it does tie into an elixir being a strong tonic. It has a bit of the original Sauvage in the background, but it adds more spice, licorice and intense woods. It has a greater complexity. This is a fantastic fragrance that has huge performance and tons of attitude. Now, I'm not saying this has magical aphrodisiac effects, but I am saying I've heard more than one curly-haired YouTuber extolling the virtues of this fragrance, calling it masculine and sexy.
This is really sexy.
Man, it's so sexy.
Masculine. For me, this is super sexy. It's a 10 because it's super masculine. Super sexy.
It's a 10. A 10. Very, very sexy. Oh my god.
Dior Sauvage Elixir.
3 10s out of 10.
I think this actually comes pretty close to the historical meaning of the word elixir, and for that, Dior should be applauded, because even though they're using this as a marketing tool, in my opinion, they've pretty much nailed exactly what an elixir fragrance should be.
Man, it's so sexy.
Paco Rabanne saw Dior successfully slap the word elixir onto their most popular fragrance line, so they thought they'd have a go. Well, Couple of goes actually. 1 Million Elixir, released in 2022, has notes of apple, davana, vanilla, tonka bean and patchouli. Has a bit of the 1 Million smell to it, but it's a little bit darker, so we get a sweet, fruity scent that is perfectly pleasant. But does it earn the label elixir? Let's have a look at all the things that we would associate with an elixir. Is it a strong tonic? Is it stronger than the original? No. To me, on my skin, the original Paco Rabanne is actually a stronger fragrance than this one. Actually, all the other 1 Millions seem stronger. On my skin at least, this one seems to be the weakest of all of them. I have to say that I think I prefer all the other 1 Millions to this one, even the original. Is it distinctive and unique like Sauvage Elixir? Nope. Does it have aphrodisiac qualities? I don't think so. In fact, on Paco Rabanne's website, they make no reference to the word elixir at all, other than it being on the bottle. They don't even seem to be playing into elixir characteristics, so it seems like this is just a random meaningless label for reasons of marketing. Invictus Victory Elixir. I like this, but it does remind me of things that I've smelled before. The notes, according to Fragrantica, are amber, vanilla and myrrh. Smells a little bit fruity to me, but apparently no fruit is in here. It's a nice, easy to wear, quite deep, rich smell. It's also pretty strong, which is good. It's not as unique or attention grabbing as Sauvage Elixir, but I have been enjoying wearing it. Is it an intoxicating potion that will have aphrodisiac effects? I don't think so. It's a pretty decent, little bit generic designer fragrance that is, in my opinion, not on the same level as Sauvage Elixir. Jean-Paul Gaultier also decided to join the party with Lamal Elixir. This one seemed to ride that hype wave and expectation was massive for it. It uses the minty lavender of the original DNA, then adds a gourmand toffee-like accord. In my opinion, it really works. It's not as unique or as strong as Sauvage, although it is still pretty strong. It's not as distinctive a smell as Sauvage Elixir, but adding this gourmand twist to Lamal does give it some distinctive character, more so than the two Paco Rabannes. I also think this does have those aphrodisiac qualities because it's quite a strong, sweet fragrance. I think it's definitely a sexy smell. I don't think it earns the label quite as much as Sauvage Elixir, but it just about gets there. But let's forget about Elixir being involved with either of those two fragrances, and overall, as a scent, I think I actually prefer Lamal Elixir over Sauvage Elixir. Just a little bit. If every now and then we got an elixir as strong, as powerful, as intoxicating as Sauvage Elixir, we could trust in that term. We wouldn't become desensitized to it. It wouldn't become just an arbitrary, meaningless label that loses all of its selling power. Lamal Elixir just about gets away with it because it's quite powerful, it's intoxicating, and it's sensual. Sadly, based on 1 Million and Invictus Victory, the fragrance industry has already started to dumb down the meaning of the word. Based on these two releases from Paco Rabanne, the term elixir has already started to lose its potency. All the blame, so far in my eyes, has to go on Paco Rabanne because these two attempts at elixir fragrances fall short of truly earning that label. You could say the term elixir has been Paco'd. I know it's just all a bit of fun and it's all just marketing, and does it really matter that much? But I do think at least Dior have exhibited a certain amount of respect for the term elixir. Elixirs will probably trend for another few years, but then they'll slowly fade away as less worthy compositions slowly chip away at our expectations like they did with intense and extreme. These days, when I smell an intense fragrance, I'm actually expecting it to be weaker than the non-intense version. Of course, this is all just my opinion. I like different fragrances to other people out there, and people will have their own opinions, but this is just me putting across my little old opinion to anyone who might be interested. If you want a quality elixir that truly earns its name, it has to be Sauvage Elixir. Granted, this does lean a little more mature, so you may prefer Lamal, Invictus Victory, or 1 Million. That's fine, but as accomplished as they are as fragrances, they're not the best elixirs. It might just be that Dior Sauvage Elixir is the first and the last designer elixir flanker that is truly befitting of its name.